Bueno, pues son las 6 de la mañana y así amanece en Las Vegas.
Back in 2005, Michael started Visual Masterpiece Cinematography. And I owned a business. I was a financial planner and had been doing that for a while and loved what I did. I had an office with ING. I was independent, had an assistant, and had no plans to leave. Had no interest in art, no interest in photography, and the only thing I knew about photography was I worked in college for a photographer as an editor, so I had some understanding of like composition, but that was the extent. And I had really no interest in learning more. I just thought, okay, I'm going to be a supportive wife, help my husband in any way I can. He's going to start his business, and he did. And on the weekends, he asked me to be his second cameraman, so I was. And for a while, that was okay because I was a working mom, and it was challenging because working 6 days a week was a lot. But then he got busier and busier, and then I started helping out with bookings and details and all of that, and my schedule got insane. So we really needed to make a decision. And we decided that we needed to just take a step back and pray because we're Christian, and we asked God for wisdom. So we did, and we really felt led to close my business. And that was like the worst thing I could ever imagine. I cried, I was totally devastated, but I felt that that was the right thing to do because we couldn't have two family businesses. It was just way too much. I had already been working 50 hours a week for the past 7 years. So I thought, okay, how can we do both? We just couldn't. So we took a leap of faith and we closed my practice. We went from a 2-income family to a 1-income family. And for a while it was fine. We incorporated photography. I was the lead shooter. And we enjoyed a few years of solid bookings. And we got busier and busier. But then the market crashed. The real estate bubble burst. And all of our assets and all of our savings was gone. Like gone. And we had 2 kids and 1 business. And we flipped out. And we started doing everything we could to book as much as we possibly could. And consequently, is this loud enough? Because that's picking me up more. Consequently, we started this backlog. I don't know about you photography people, but video takes a while. And when you take on too much, it can get really long. Like the deadline was over a year for us. So people that had hired us were then banging on our doors. Where's our video? They were so mad at us. And our clients who used to refer us were now angry at us and stopped referring us. So we lost our referrals.
That's what you're good.
You can hear me? Good. Okay. So we lost our referral market. So what we did was we started going to bridal shows. We started paying for print ads. We started littering reception halls with our business cards and doing all the no-nos, all the I need you, I need you, I need you kind of marketing. And what that did was it caused us to think that we were not valuable. And we reduced our prices. We started discounting. We started price slashing because we were in this survival mode. And so what that did was it made our schedule so overbooked, and it caused our overhead to just raise to an enormous amount that our profit margin was so low, it was worth quitting. But we didn't have that as an option. This was our only business. So again, we prayed. We took a step back and we said, what are we going to do? People are mad at us. We have a low service business, a high volume, now low price, where we used to start at $3,000 and $4,000 per wedding. We were now at like $2,500 again. It was crazy. This cycle of overbooked schedules and mad clients made us have lower pricing. But we knew we were worth more because we were producing award-winning work and we loved what we did. And we wouldn't let anything go until we absolutely adored it. And the clients were happy when they got it, but they were angry at us. So again, it was just a bad business model. So we took a step back and we started changing things. We started reading books, we went to seminars, we prayed and we asked God for wisdom, and what we were led to do did not make any sense at all. We were led to stop all of our paid marketing. That made no sense. And that was our security blanket because all of our bridal shows, that's where our leads came from. Even though they were bad leads, they were still leads. It was still some income, and some income was better than no income. So we stopped doing that, and that took a lot of faith. Then we stopped discounting. And instead of just eliminating the discounts, we actually felt led to triple our pricing. So we went from $2,500 to $6,500 overnight, practically. And that was very scary. It didn't make any sense at all. No paid for marketing, tripling our prices. We're going to sabotage ourselves, but we were already sabotaging ourselves. So we took that leap of faith and we did it. And what we realized was the first thing that was causing us to get into that spiraling downward cycle was a bad mindset. We were stuck in scarcity mentality, and that was the problem. That is what had led us to that enormous issue that we had had, this bad business model. And that's what I'm going to cover today. So first, we're going to go over mindsets. And then I'm going to lead you through our journey on how we got to the high-end market. So we knew it was time to shift into high gear. We drive a stick shift. We've owned Corvettes for 20 years. They're always used. Scarcity mentality is. It's someone who makes decisions motivated by fear of loss. They're needy and they do business on the client's terms. They charge what they are told they are worth. But on the other hand, the abundance mentality, the opposite, says this person makes decisions motivated by opportunity. They are confident and they stick to their prices. And they charge what they believe they are worth. Sorry, I went too fast on that one. Again, this is a continuation. Oh, no, it's going back. I don't know why. There we go. They see everyone as a prospect. We were doing this. Mass marketing. We overbooked ourselves. We produced inconsistent service. Our products were still consistent, which is why it took so long, but our service was horrible. We were practically hiding from people. Not a good way to do business. And we had no quality of life or work. But the abundance mentality holds out for their ideal client. That's what we started to do. We set limits on our availability. We produced consistent service as well as continuing to produce consistent products. And we had quality of life and work once again. It took a while, but we got there. So what are your current beliefs about your business? And what are your current beliefs about money? A main factor of why your business is not where it might need to be could be limiting beliefs. Because what these limiting beliefs are their negative past experiences that we've now attached meaning to. Like something bad that happened in the past, we interpret through a filter and we make it mean something. And that becomes like a story. And so you might hear this racket or conversation in your head that says things like, I can never get ahead, or I take one step forward and it feels like I'm taking 2 steps backward, or my mom and dad didn't have anything, I'm never going to have anything. And this self-talk limits us and keeps us held back. Too many people feel like they're slaves to their businesses, slaves to the haggling prospect, slaves to the planners who ask for freebies and discounts, slaves to the need for purchasing the latest and greatest just to compete with the other people in the industry. But those are limiting beliefs. They're not true, they're just stories that we've made true in our minds, but it doesn't make it true. So we need to rewire our brain. Our words actually communicate our thoughts. Sometimes we don't even know what we're thinking, but if we just start listening to what we're saying, we can become aware of that. So how do you speak about your business? Is there energy and passion in what you say? Ask people around you if you don't hear yourself. How do they perceive you feel about it? Is there jaded cynicism, like things are this way, they're always going to be this way? Or is there passion and hope and opportunity and excitement? Limiting beliefs are so damaging. And fear it digs a hole in our finances, and it really keeps us held back. But we have the ability to change our reality. We can create a new perspective that's not shackled by your current circumstances, because our past is not a predicator of our future. I love this quote. If you can change your thoughts, you can change your life. William James. Some say success is just chance or timing or who you know. Some of the most downtrodden people have come from nothing. And some of the most privileged people have had a horrible life and been in and out of rehab and been destitute. So there's really no correlation. There's a quote from Cornelius Vanderbilt's grandson, the railroad tycoon, and he left his family $100 million. And 75 years later, in the 70s, there was a 75th anniversary. They all came together, all these relatives, and not one person out of $100 million over 75 years, which could have perpetuated wealth into perpetuity forever, not one person was a millionaire. And what his grandson was quoted saying was, inherited wealth was the greatest handicap. So money doesn't really solve our problems. It's our perception about money that can solve our problems. And what's interesting is that if you say to yourself, like, I could never do that, or, I would never hurt someone because I'm just not that type of person. Well, what else do you believe about yourself? What other negative things might you believe about yourself? Some people feel like they'll never be wealthy. They'll never be able to relate to the high-end market. They'll never be able to compete with the so-called rock star photographers or whatever. But those are limiting beliefs. Who says that? And I think the problem is mainly between the ears. It's in the mind. So marketing. This is now our primary marketing strategy. We have 0 advertising dollars. We are viewed as the trusted advisor and the passionate artisan, and we're limited. And our goal is to always provide excellent products and services. And this is an example of a warm versus a cold prospect. On the warm side, there's a relationship-based marketing channel. Referrals from clients, referrals from venues, referrals from planners, and referrals from colleagues. Like, our colleagues are here. Sometimes we're booked and we can refer to another studio. Those people are our colleagues. If you shoot only video, then photographers are your colleagues. So are bands. There's some bands that get paid like $50,000 to be at these events, and they get the bride to come to them before they come to us sometimes because of their limited availability. They're referral partners of ours. When I was a financial planner, the people that I saw the most frequently, because I was self-employed, I didn't have like people that I worked with on a daily basis besides my assistant. I saw my referral partners the most, and then second, my clients. But I would meet with like my CPAs and everybody else over lunch and just build relationships. And that's what we do now. We build relationships with these valued people, and the leads that come from them are very, very warm, and that's so essential. Because who likes cold calling? I mean, that's why it's called cold. It's like ice. It's like, oh, don't touch her, she's ice. Like, that's a bad term. Cold is bad. I don't want to go to bridal shows. I don't want to do print ads. I don't want to do unsolicited business cards littered all over reception halls. When was the last time a quality lead came from that? We used to do this. And internet ads. I mean, the type of quality that here's the kind of call we used to get. Hi, do you do photo and video? I think I saw some of your work online. It's really pretty. What do you charge? Oh, we charge, starting at now, 8 for video, 7 for photo. $800? No, $8,000. Oh, click, or whatever. And they're like, oh, can you do both for like $1,000? Are you living in 1982? No, cold is bad. Internet, rarely do we get people finding us just Googling around. Sometimes, but quality, not very often. So referral partners are huge. What shape is your marketing? I love this movie, by the way. It's like one of our faves. So there's a contradiction here. I want a hot body, but I also want tacos. Well, I love tacos, but not every day. That would be bad. So what shape is your marketing? What I mean by that is there are shapes to marketing. The top, I'm going to go counterclockwise, by the way. The top shows I'm offering one service to a large group of people. That's the triangle. So photography to everyone. That's still considered mass marketing. It's a specialized service, but still mass marketing. The bottom triangle shows a wide variety of services to one particular audience. So this would be like, offering Walmart, but only for a certain person, or like Toys R Us. A lot of toys, but for one particular audience, kids. On the bottom, that's a funnel. That means a lot of products and services to a wide range of people. That's like Walmart. Tons of stuff to everyone. And then the top shows one particular or a few, very few particular items to a very particular and target audience. So that is the model we are. We offer photo video for weddings to a very specific cultural high-end market. And so we find that if you pick one of those, you'll get paid more if you specialize more succinctly. It's almost like saying, if you have a target and you throw something at it, If you're blindfolded, you're probably not going to hit something. Now, if the target is really big, you're going to hit something, but you might not hit what you want. So a wider audience doesn't necessarily mean a better outcome. A more targeted and specific target, knowing exactly what you're looking at with the blindfold off, actually produces a better outcome. It might sound counterintuitive, but it's not. Because if you are specific about who you're going after, you're going to produce work that attracts exactly that audience. You'll be able to know who you're speaking to, and they will feel spoken to when they see your marketing. So what I was talking about before is really the difference between a specialist and a generalist. And what is that? A specialist is seen as an expert. They have a target audience. Prospects outside their target audience are repelled. We have people that call us sometimes and say, I really love your work, but I don't even know why I'm calling because it looks out of my range. And I'm just curious about pricing. So already they're saying, I don't think I can afford them. I'm glad they think that because it means that we're targeting to the right audience. We're communicating a message that says we have a specific client model. Some people think we're Persian, by the way, because we have so many Persian clients. I'm okay with that. There was a season that people thought we were Asian because we had so many Asian clients. That's fine. I feel like I'm cultural at heart. I have so many cultural friends, and I love kissing and hugging, and I'm just very tactile. And I studied foreign language in college, and I love people of culture, so we attract that. Like the grandmas who dance. I'm really into that. I think it's awesome. So again, we repel a certain audience, but we attract a certain audience. We're paid substantially more than, specialists are paid substantially more than generalists as well. A generalist is viewed as generic. Their products and services are looked at more like a commodity. What's a commodity? It's like corn. It's like the no-name brand Kleenex, but it's not called Kleenex, but we call it Kleenex. That's a brand because everybody knows about Kleenex. It's actually tissue paper. It's really funny, but Kleenex did a really good job of branding. So now we don't even think about hand me a tissue, it's hand me a Kleenex. I'm like, wow. But marketing aside, I love branding, it's so cool. A generalist is someone who is generic. They sell corn, you can get it anywhere. I don't want to be corn, I don't want to be a commodity. I don't want to be something someone can get just anywhere. I want to be something sought after. I want to be able to create and produce something that's unique, that you can't find just walking down the street. So generalists will also accept varying types of work at varying rates. And they don't have an ideal client profile. And they're generally willing to work a lot for very little. You don't have to post everything, by the way. Assess your current portfolio, because maybe your current reel is keeping the platinum clients away. If you want this, but you're showing this, the message is wrong. And it's not wrong to shoot the one on the right. I mean, some of the most beautiful weddings are like those rustic-looking weddings. But if you show that, but you're wanting to attract the really glamorous people, they're not relating. There's nothing wrong with either one. They're just not going to relate. So it's really important to showcase only that which you want to attract. So is your product good or is it great? The subtle jump could make a huge difference. Go ahead.
You are the only one who understands me. Suffer from your soup. Yes. You demand perfection from yourself, from your soup. How can I tolerate any less from my customer? Gazpacho, por favor. Por favor.
All right. Am I on? All right. So, I was trying to think of, who can I relate to in this regard about being passionate about your product. And, the soup Nazi was like, he just came to my mind. A few other people come to my mind too. Steve Jobs, Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay is, both those guys. And the soup Nazi, considered jerks, not nice people, not nice to work with, but they're known for their passion, they're known for their product. And the reason everybody in Seinfeld went back to the soup Nazi is because he had a great product, and they're smelling it, and they're, oh, the bread, and if they didn't have bread, they're like, oh my gosh, I want bread. And he's like, no soup for you. You know, and that was, they tolerated it because the product was really good. The product was great. It was worth the pain to go through. As an artist, I think that's incredibly important. I don't feel like you can have you know, everything you want, again, the tacos, if you're not willing to sacrifice some time and energy and work to really cultivate your craft. And we go over this a lot in our workshops and in other areas where we break things down. But to be passionate, passion is felt. It's felt throughout your work. So we have people that come to us and they'll watch our videos or they'll look at our photography, and they are already attracted. They're like, I can tell how much care and concern you put into your work. Also, these are subtle things in the work. So you might say, you know, what we do tell in sales meetings is, you know, if they're haggling on price, or if they're not sure if they want to go with us, we'll say, hey, look, if you're satisfied somewhere else, if you can find the same thing somewhere else for half the price, by all means, do it. I would do it too. And oftentimes they're like, no, it's all good. But if they do, it's justifiable. They can absolutely do that. But again, these things are subtleties. Your work is often seen as remarkable. Now, I love that word because remarkable is also notable, right? To be remarkable is to be remembered, is to be seen as something desired. There is a relentless pursuit for perfection. I'm a perfectionist to the core. I am never satisfied. I go through edits. I'm never satisfied. I have edits. I'm like, oh. And Rebecca's like, you got to put it out. You got to put it out. You got to let it go. By the way, we are two sides of this business. I am the artisan in a sense, and she keeps me in line. She's being nice and waiting for the product to show up, and I'm editing all the albums. I'm editing the photos and the video, and she's just trying to, you know, soothe the client. You know, like, it's going to be great. But I certainly take more time than I probably should, because I don't want to let it go. I want to love it. And lastly, you're willing to risk being viewed as a rebel. This is an interesting one, because this is where you can kind of turn people off. Again, I don't think it's about that. I think you really have to ask for what you want. If you're in a situation where you're shooting and, you know, if you're shooting photography and someone else is like, no, you can't do that right now. If it's something you really want, if you feel like it's going to make that difference, you have to figure out how to make it happen. And if that means, you know, pissing some people off, well, sometimes you have to do that. And I kind of take that on. You know, I think also that passion covers a multitude of errors, right? So again, you have these people that, like Steve Jobs, for example, revered tremendously for his passion and the product that he puts out. How many of you know Ben Chrisman Photography? So I was shooting with him, first time we shot together, and we were shooting, I think it was like the gift that was being given in the morning to the bride. And I told Ben, I said, okay, I need you not to shoot right now. You know, so we had her mic'd, and I didn't want to hear the clicks, and I just politely said, you know, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna record her, we're gonna get it set up, she's gonna open the gift, she's gonna read what she has, I want it to be natural, I don't want you shooting at all. I said, but you can shoot afterwards. Like, you know, we'll redo it. We'll do the whole thing over again. You know, whatever. It's for me on the video side. I needed it to feel authentic. If she was going to cry, I needed her I needed that to come through, as true as could be. So for me, I couldn't recreate that. But I know on the photography side, I shoot photography. You know, it's fine. Set it up. No big deal. A few stills, and it doesn't really make, in the album, it still feels authentic, right? So he looked at me and he's like, wow, like you got balls, man, And, but here's the thing, he absolutely respected me after that. We didn't fight. There was no argument, there was nothing. We're both professionals. I wasn't asking, I wasn't being a jerk about it. I was just saying, this is clearly what I need. And he was like, wow, I completely respect you. So you might be surprised. I was passionate about conveying what I needed, and he was like, yeah, go for it, absolutely. So here's some of our photography work. Since we've been showing some videos, just want to show you some photos as well. And we have albums down there from Fineo you can check out. And what is this? This is a video. This might be a behind the scenes clip of this. Oh no, it's not.
So true love, it's all about the little things you share in life with each other. Like fluff the pillow before bedtime, like bringing you candy when you're not feeling well, like giving you the pre-Christmas present, which I've never heard about that before. Sure, you found the right guy. Most certainly, Chanel or not, I will continue to fill our lives with happiness and continue to bring tears of laughter as long as you take them.
So, thank you. I had a really hard time determining what I was going to show you. That was from a few years back, and it's one of my favorites, even if it's not the most glamorous out there. There's a lot of depth and detail to it. Something I explained at Canon a few weeks back and we broke that down and how deep and how many things lead up with those shots. But I'm not going to do that here. Just felt like sharing that. Okay, so on location director of photography, and I kind of shared this with the Ben Christmas story, just about asking, and if he had a problem with that, I would have said like, okay, well let's just negotiate, and sure you put it on silent mode or something. We'll come to terms, but it's a team effort. But definitely ask, and when you're on location, it is shared creative control with photographer and cinematographer and anyone else that has input, coordinator. Location, time, lighting. The band often wants you to turn off all your lights. That's a huge problem. We actually had, actually it was the same wedding with Ben. Ben actually, the band was like, hey, you got to turn off your lights. No one's dancing, and so we complied to some degree, and we didn't, and it came back to bite us because the project was like, why are the lights off when I want to see some things? So again, you have to stick to your guns sometimes. You can speak into the itinerary. This is kind of more on Rebecca's end. She really communicates to the coordinators, and it really gets the coordinators on their side. We communicate with the photographer ahead of time, or if we're shooting photography and there's a cinematographer there, we really try to get in touch with them before to be on the same team. And then just ask about their expectations. Oftentimes during the ceremony, I'll be shooting, and I have a certain way I shoot the ceremony, and so I'll ask the photographer. I'll say, hey, this is what I plan on doing. Is that cool? And that way we both just know, and we can be fluid. Don't want any arguments or fights on the wedding day. It's all about the bride. All right, so this is a little behind the scenes of the two of us, and then it's going back to Rebecca. Back to Rebecca. We also have their album here if you want to check it out.
So speak to this decision maker. The decision center of our brains, it's actually called the limbic brain. It's not wired to even understand language. It sounds really weird. You've probably heard this, but 98% of communication is nonverbal. It's pretty insane, but it's true. And so we actually, USA Today wrote an article, and there's lots of articles out there if you ever want to study the limbic brain, but their decisions aren't made in the logic portion of our brain. Decisions are made in the emotional section of our brain. So why do we always talk about the what when we should be talking about the why, the passion? So passion communicates something different, and it's like that language that's universal. And whenever you communicate with someone on their emotions, and there's a connection there, and you're relating, that there's a connection there. Because I want to work with people that want to work with me. And we don't talk about details, we talk about them. They're not there to interview me. In my mind, by the time they call, if they meet my ideal client profile, the deal is done. Now it's just my job to convert that person who wants to work with us, but they might not have the complete budget for where we're at. My job is to communicate why they would want to work with us through my passion, through expressing how I love what I do, how I love people, how we're so committed to what we do as artisans, and really hit it off with them so that they are willing to say, well, I was only willing to spend 5, but now I'm going to spend 9. And they make those jumps. I have people do that all the time, even in the high-end market. They don't always have a budget for 10 for video or 15 for photo and video. But when they meet with you and there's a connection, they're going to go back to their families and say, oh my gosh, I can't work with anybody except them. Because then you're no longer a commodity. You can't be found on any street corner. You're not like anybody, all the other studios. You're unique. And you're selling something that they can't find anywhere else. And it's valuable to them because it's that emotion, that connection that really can't be commoditized. That's not a word. It's not generic. So communicate to the heart. Passion, not product. So again, don't be looked at as a generic commodity, haggling over price. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. You may have heard this from Simon Sinek. If you've ever remembered, anybody that's old enough to remember the Apple Think Different campaign, they were fizzling out. They were not doing well. And Steve Jobs came in and he decided to introduce this Think Different campaign. And what he did was, this video was amazing. I almost showed it. You can look it up online. They showed pictures of like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Einstein and Amelia Earhart. And then they said in this narrative, like, here's to the rebels, those who have, gone a different way. Here's to the ones that are different. And then at the very end, it was like, Apple, think different. And that revolutionized them. Everyone wanted an Apple computer after that. And you don't see like riots for getting a new iPhone or people lining up a week in advance to get a different type of cell phone or computer, but you see that with Apple because they have a raving fan base. And when you have something that's unique and you communicate passion, you communicate to the why, you're not going to just draw people that say, oh, your work's kind of nice, and oh, it was cool meeting you. They're going to be raving fans. And conversely, you're going to have people that you turn off if you're doing it right. You're going to have people that say, their style just doesn't match our style. I don't like all that glam. There are people that don't like our style, and I'm great with that because it means that we're targeting properly. We don't want to attract the masses. We want to turn on and turn off. Actually, we want to turn off more people than we turn on because our market is narrow. It's very specific. So it's important that we communicate our why. So what determines your value in your business? Really, value is comprised of your product plus your service and your image. And so if you look at this, if you have a good product, but you have poor service, your value is poor. If you have a subpar product, but you have really good service, it still affects your value and your value is poor. And if you have a good product and you have good service, but your image is lower, if you don't have like this, like I was saying before, if you're showcasing weddings that are not high-end, then that could be driving down your pricing and your value. A high-volume business actually tends to cause subpar service. I communicate this to people, especially when they ask for discounts. I tell them that a low price will drive a high volume for any business. It's like I was mentioning before, Walmart. You go there to get a low price, and there's a high volume of things, and there's a high volume of people that will buy things from them. But that low price will drive a high volume, which in turn will produce a poor quality. Like you wouldn't go and buy a dress for your brother's wedding at Walmart. because you would say that's poor quality. But you would go to Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus and buy a dress for your brother's wedding because it's a high quality. So they have a lower volume, a higher price, and a higher quality. They also have higher image. And so it's important to understand that and to communicate that to your clients, because if they're asking for a discount, I will very straight say to people, do you realize the impact of what you're asking? And they're like, what do you mean? Because if I give you a discount, and I give the next person a discount, and I give the next person a discount, I'm going to perpetually bring down the level of service and quality of my business, and that will directly affect you. Do you want that to happen? And I'm like, no, I don't want that to happen. I want personalized service. I want a custom product. I love how your work is totally different every time. It's not cookie cutter. That's why I came to you, because I can't find someone that has work just like yours. And I'm like, then don't ask for a discount. Because when you're asking for a discount, you're asking for a company to cut corners. Not intentionally, but indirectly, and it will affect you. And when they get that, they understand and they fully respect you. So if your product is great, raise your prices. If you're booking high volume, you have a tremendous amount of bookings, then raise your prices. Because you'll eventually reach what's called, in marketing, supply equals demand. You get that pricing equilibrium. You'll hit it. And when you hit pricing equilibrium, when your value or when your supply equals your demand, you'll eventually start to feel like your schedule's evening out. But what's happening is you'll start working smarter and not harder, and you'll be getting paid more for less time. And that's the goal. Like, why would you charge half for double the work? It's double the work. Like, oh my gosh, I've been there, it's horrible. When you could charge double for half the work. That is so much more valuable, especially as parents. And so that will eventually affect your clients, and they'll have a better image of you. They'll have more respect for you, and they will get a better product overall. So what is your ideal client profile? It's just an example of some of the types of receptions that we shoot. Get very clear on who you're targeting. This is our ideal client profile. People who plan to spend at least $250,000 on their wedding, people who love our work and want to work with us personally, people who have cinema and photo as their top priority. Many times I'll have people come to me before they book the venue, and I say, okay, we don't want you to change the date on us, because once it's set, it's set. There's like a non-refundable thing here. So we make sure they book their venue, and then they book us. But I love it when they come to us first, because it shows how high it is in their priority list. They can spend 8 for cinema and 7 for photo. They respect our pricing and policies, and they're relaxed and easy to work with. And they trust us. That's huge. And they've been referred to us, mostly. So identify your ideal client profile. If you don't have one, build one. Communicate your ideal client profile to your referral partners. This is really important. If you don't do this, you might be working with the wrong referral partners. If you're spending a tremendous amount of time with these people, these planners, but they have a different ideal client profile, or they don't understand what yours is, they might send you unqualified leads. And that gets really discouraging, because you're spending hard-earned time cultivating that relationship with them. They send you a lead and it's half your budget. You're like, I don't even have pricing near their budget. So that happened for us, and we just needed to start building different referrals, different referral partners. And we align ourselves with venues and planners, colleagues who have the same ideal client profile. Many of the photographers who refer us, they know we do photo, but they still refer us, because once they book the photo, they'll send them over. And if the client hasn't booked photo yet, they come to our studio, we hide all our albums, because we don't want them at all like getting tempted to book us when they were referred by our valued photography referral partner. And so they'll refer us because we have the same ideal client profile. We're shooting in the same cultural market, high-end market. The venues and planners, they're all shooting the same types of weddings. So it's really important to align yourself with people who are targeting that same very specific audience. So we pre-qualify in order to identify who's not our ideal client. So these types of people, they don't value us, and they see you as vendors. Vendor. Vendor. It's horrible. I hate that word. It's ugly. It's 4-letter word to me. It's like the people who eat the box lunch. I don't want a box lunch. I don't want a cold sandwich. I want a hot meal, and we will get it because we are not vendors. So these people they care mostly about price, and they see your service as a commodity. They don't care about customized product or personal service. Interactions are transactional and very impersonal. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the money. Those are not our clients. And I hate this when they call up. I haven't booked my video yet. My wedding's happening in a month. This is not always an indicator, by the way, because I shot many million-dollar weddings a month before the event took place. So this is not always an indicator. But sometimes they'll say, this is the last thing on my list, and it was an afterthought. Oh, I need a video. Nope, that's a red flag. So all these are just red flags. Anytime I see these or hear, I shouldn't say discounts. In the high-end market, hard selling, pressure sales, parents and the planner and the couple, I'm like, oh my gosh. But they make decisions together because they're so community-oriented. So even if a bride and groom just come to us, or a bride and groom and a planner, they'll go back and they'll talk to his side, her side, they think about it, they talk about it, they all get together and have a party and watch our videos and our photos. It's like a community event. It's crazy. And eventually, even sometimes within a month or two, they'll book. So we have to be really patient. We never put pressure on them. And we don't give discounts. And I do know the people that own their own businesses in the cultural market, they expect discounts. They expect cash discounts. They ask for it. They're just used to doing business that way. And I've traveled the world. I understand. You go to China, you go somewhere else, you barter, you trade, you ask for a discount. It's just the way the rest of the world operates. Here in America, we're not as used to it. We kind of frown upon it. But it's common everywhere else because business to business, they make deals. But I do explain to my cultural clients, all of my clients, that if I do that, there's an impact. And so on occasion, I will throw something in, like maybe I will discount a parent album. I'll say instead of charging you $1,000 for this parent album, I'll sell it to you for $500 if you book. But that doesn't cost me anything because they don't even cost me $500. So there's ways that I will incentivize the package by not discounting $1 off of it. And that's so important. So what is the quality of your referral partners? Do not, this is what we did for a while and we stopped. Do not film or photograph for free in hopes that they will refer you. Planners who ask for freebies will expect it on a concurrent basis. And it's really important not to develop that type of relationship because when does that stop? When do those favors turn into qualified leads? I know many studios who still shoot for free because they're hoping that that event will be featured. Now, it's one thing to build your reel. If you don't have a high-end reel, shoot for free for a little while. We did that. We shot 5 weddings for free and we stopped. And we converted those into our reel, submitted them for awards, and that was really important. But not once you're developed. It's making me nervous. So instead, we build relationships. And we do a really good job of capturing details so that they have a good reel from these platinum events that we're shooting together. We shoot the video really well. We make sure that we have adequate time in the reception hall. And then we shoot all the details and we send them to them on a flash drive so they can put those photos and those videos up on their website. And they're really thankful for that. Another thing we do for photography is we submit our work and we get it published in magazines. And then we cite the planner and the other vendors as well. Oh, I used that word. The other referral partners that we have, like the band and the florists and all of these amazing people that we work with. And they're very happy to work with us because we get our work published. So that's really, really important. Share that with your planner. Share that you're going to be featured, trying to get this work featured, and that you have relationships with really top sites or really top magazines, and cultivate those relationships too. You never know what a phone call will do. Just a warm voice, a smile. Smile when you talk. It's really important. Smile at weddings. I've gotten bookings on smiling at weddings. It's crazy. People will just say, I've watched you all day and you're carrying gear and you're smiling all day. I like you. I'm like, wow, thank you for noticing. But anyway, just calling the press, calling sites and blogs, publishing, And getting a person on the phone and cultivating those relationships too, because once they know you, they like you, people want to work with those they like. So that's really important. So price structure. Hold out for the higher end clients, because if your product is good, they will come. I can't stress enough how important this is, because when we used to overbook ourselves, it was like heart-wrenching when we would get those calls and it would say something like this. Hi, I'm a planner. I love your work. I've worked with you at these other events or whatever. I have a platinum wedding, and we were booked. And we had booked at a discount. And so my heart is just like being torn out, because I feel like, why didn't we just hold out? Why didn't we value ourselves enough to just wait patiently? Because they'll come. If your work is good, they will come. We don't have packages, by the way. We have a flat rate, and all of our events are covered in the exact same fashion for the exact same hours, with the same number of people, same equipment, because our clients are not the ones to dictate what it takes to make quality. We are. So the flat rate allows us to say, okay, this is our starting base, and it comes with a highlight, which is a one-song edit. Or with photography, it comes with a flash drive with high-res images that are edited to some degree. And that's flat. Everything else is a la carte. So it's customizable, and they can add those things on for up to 3 years. And that gives them flexibility, but it also allows us to just really hold firm at that base rate. Because when we used to have packages, and they would start at like, they were like the silver and the golden and the platinum, and these people could choose from these options. We were then sending out like a team of 1 plus an assistant, or one alone, and that was not good. And then they had the option to tell us what we were worth on a weekend or on a day, and we didn't like that. We felt like we need a flat rate, because if we have all these packages, we're putting the control in the client's hands, and they're telling us what we can and can't work for on a given day, and that didn't work for us. So a flat rate works best for us. Include everything you need to do a great job, and leave out items for upsell. Huge. A lot of our income comes from upselling later. It's really important. And just staying in touch with these people, it actually gives an opportunity to stay in touch with them. Because when you have additional edits that you can provide for them, and their anniversary is coming up, and you give them like 6-month notice, and you're telling them, I have all this amazing footage, and I know you guys love these songs, and the toasts were so heartfelt, or the vows were so amazing, and they weren't in the highlight, you have a reason to stay in touch with them and sell them those additional products, just like albums.
Actually, on that note, that's a great idea if you just call the groom, right, and say, hey, your anniversary is coming up, make an album just for her, give it to her for her anniversary, that kind of thing. We've done that before, and it's excellent.
Rebecca?
Yes?
One question. Do you have like a limit of time with this flat
We
rate?
do. It's 12 hours. Beyond 12 hours, we charge $400 per hour per medium. So it's $800 if we do photo and video per hour additional. Oh, and we also require 50% deposit. And this is really important, because when we weren't requiring 50% deposits, in the months when we weren't shooting, we were having to book so many more to be able to even out our income. We used to have like this tiny $1,000 retainer, and if the price was $5,000 and we were only taking 20% of that, we needed so many more bookings that month, and it put us in this panic mode if we weren't shooting that month, if the remainder wasn't being paid in full, because it was like a non-shooting season. So we always require 50% now, and the remainder due before the wedding, always before the wedding. I've had some people that have been a little weird about that and said, I don't know if I feel comfortable paying all in advance. Can I just give you cash the day of the remainder? And on occasion, that's happened, and I've said yes, but never after. Because these aren't businesses, these are people. And this is a wedding. I don't know if they're going to get divorced, or if they're just going to say, oh, well, I'll come back to you when I'm ready to pick up my video, which could be indefinitely or 5 years. So that is not in their control. So planning for success. It's not moving. Oh, thank you. Now, this is just something I threw in there because I don't normally talk about financial planning, but it's really key. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I believe if you create a fail-proof system for yourself, you will protect yourself from getting into a bad financial spot. And most people make bad decisions when they're in fear. If you freak out when your bank account gets low, Don't spend all your savings during the harvest months. Pad your account, pad your savings account for the winter months. It's so important. Because every business owner needs to set aside a certain amount for savings, not only now, but in the future. And so I just want to show you the impact of what this looks like. If you want to save $1 million by the time you're in retirement years, let's look at how you can achieve that. A 30-year-old saving $450 a month for 35 years has invested a total of their own dollars, $190,000. That $190,000 growing at 8% will be worth $1 million in a tax-deferred account, like a mutual fund or something. But if they wait until they're 40, they have to invest $1,100 every single month for 25 years, and they've spent $330,000 of their own money. And that $330,000 will grow tax-deferred at 8% to $1 million when they're 65. And then at 50, let's say they wait until they're 50 because they really procrastinated. And now they have to invest $3,000 a month. That's so unlikely, but let's just say they do it. 15 years, $3,000 a month. They've spent a total of $540,000 of their own money to get $1 million at 65. Look at the difference there. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars different. But honestly, this is not realistic. Who's going to do that? When they haven't developed the savings muscle, who's going to invest $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year? That's not likely. So here's what is likely. That person who invests $450 at 30, same scenario. They invest it for 35 years. Their investment is worth $1 million. The 40-year-old, let's say they invest just that same amount, $450, because that's more of a reasonable number. They invest $450, same as a 30-year-old, for 25 years. Their investment is only worth $430 instead of $1 million. There's a $600,000 deficit there. The 50-year-old, this one makes me cry. Like, this sucks. I'm sorry. This is what happens to most Americans, by the way. Most Americans have no savings. The average 50-year-old has $50,000 saved. It's horrible, and this is why the U.S. government is freaking out that there's not enough workers in the future generation to facilitate Social Security. And that's why we say we might not have it. We might not. So we have to do this. So $450 every month, the 50-year-old will only have $150,000, and that's for 15 years of investing. So why are we doing this? It's costing $850,000 difference by waiting those additional years to invest. Start now, because honestly, your biggest asset is not more money. Your biggest asset is time. And you guys are young. And if you make these choices now, you'll be so much better off, and you'll be able to be in a position to turn those people away and say, I'm holding out for what I'm worth, and I'm waiting, and I know my work is good, and those people will come. And you'll be able to be in a position to do that. Not just believe it, but to be able to do it. It's so important. And I actually want to make one recommendation, because still, I don't want it to be this mystical thing, investing. If you're self-employed, the best and easiest thing to do is go down to like a Fidelity and open up a Roth IRA. And it means a Roth is just a tax shelter. It holds things. It's not an investment, it's a tax shelter. And you have the ability to invest $450 every single month for a year, and that maxes it out. And the government says, we'll let you put money in there and allow that money to be invested in something like a variety of stocks or mutual funds. And when you select those things, it automatically invests into those types of investments. And that is tax deferred, and then get this, it's tax free when you withdraw it. So that $1 million is 100% tax free, not 30% taken off the top, it's free. So I highly recommend going down to a local investment branch or a bank and opening up a Roth IRA. It'll be like the best thing you do. And think about this as well. The government instituted withdrawing from paychecks back in the 30s, I believe it was. You know how those automatic tax withdrawals when you have a W-2? And that was genius, because what they were doing is they were automating this tax withdrawal. They weren't having to hunt people down to get their taxes. And so why don't you automate it for yourself? Have your bank account drafted every single month so you don't even have to think about it. You don't write the check, it's just done. Automatic millionaire, you'll be there. Thank you.
Now that she's Told you all that. I've got some gear you're going to want, right? Spend some money.
Say it's morning.
Okay, so I just wanted to cover some of my favorite things, and then I've got some giveaways, as I mentioned at the beginning. This is my tool of choice for all of my motion capture. You saw it in the behind-the-scenes video that we do. It is quite modified, to be honest, and I did it myself. But if any of you have questions about this, come see me. See where we're going here. All right. CloudSpot. That's another one that we use as well. There's a coupon code for CloudSpot right there. If you haven't seen it yet, you can just take a picture of that. How many of you have online galleries already? Yeah? You love them? Well, we just discovered this when we were doing the search. We were kind of moving away from, who do we have forever and ever and ever? Pictosh. We had Pictosh forever. And then so when they closed shop, we were happy to actually start looking around. And we ended up deciding on CloudSpot and been very, very happy about it. Mainly because the way their gallery is set up is very nice. It's set up as an application instead of a web-based type application on a browser. And then when you get to the actual browser, it works seamlessly with our website. So this is actually coming off of the CloudSpot link from our website. But there's, in the URL, there's actually no, it doesn't say, CloudSpot gallery. It actually says Visual Masterpiece clientgallery.com. So that seemed very seamless to us. They were invisible to our client, which is really nice. And they're great guys to work with. It's a newer company, so they're taking a lot of feedback, and they have a lot of passion there. So I'm right in alignment with that. Here's another look inside of one of the galleries. So I have a free subscription. This is like $500 right here. Who wants one? All right, I promised you guys I was going to go through here, so I'm going to go through here and just by random. Let's see. Shawnee.
Oh.
Shawnee?
Shiny
Yeah?
Studios?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want it?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Okay, sounds good. So come up and see me afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, cool deal. All right, I got who likes albums?
Yay!
Hold on. Let me look here. Oh, I see everyone's just typing in right now, huh? Yeah. I see how it is. Let me move over to Twitter. I'm gonna mix you guys up here.
We love Fineo, by the way. They are so, oh my goodness. Fineo is incredible. If you want to take a look at some of Fineo's books, they're gorgeous. They have acrylic, really thick covers. They're attached, so the photo's right there. They have different texture paper. It's so beautiful. Some of the papers like linen.
All right, Christopher Todd. All right, awesome, guys. So come up and see me after. I have a $300 coupon code for Fineo. I've got, let's see, who likes tacos? Somebody catch that. All right.
All right.
That's okay.
Profit.
That's okay. I'm giving you a Fineo album.
All right.
There you go. It was a little trick, right?
Nice.
All right.
I know. Actually,
So with your Fineo albums, how many of you are gonna, how are you gonna design it? We use smart albums. We kind of looked at funding, we looked at smart albums, and we kind of did the trials. We picked smart albums, hands down, love it. And who wants smart albums? Copy. Jerry wants a copy. Jerry, you're not getting a copy. All right, hold on. I'm going back in here. Sorry. Holly D Photography. Yeah. All right. You got it. All right. Let's see. We got something from Rode Microphones. Awesome. Who's into that? All right. Here you go. Catch. Oh, almost got you. Headhunting. Yeah. All right. So yeah, nothing big there from Rode, but there you go. It's something, anyways. And here's the last one from Cinovate. There's a coupon code there, $75 off anything on their website. And lastly, here's a list of, if you want to take a snapshot of that, we're based in California. We have a free class coming up in Irvine at Canon Expo Center, May 5th. And then we have a 2-day workshop coming up sometime. The date is not exactly set yet. We're talking with Canon about that. It's also going to be with Canon. The cost has not been established yet. But we're going to go over all the entire workflow, hands-on film and photography, and editing, of course. And then another one in London if you're based outside of the United States.
Can you go back?
Where to? That? One right forward? There you go, yeah. Take a snapshot of that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. We've got like 10 minutes to spare.
One thing that you're not going to get, that you do get with natural light, is the movement. But the beautiful part about this series of images is, I'll show you what they were shot at. This is a pullback of where I was, and this is straight out of camera. So in this position here, my assistant is throwing the fabric, and she's moving into the dance pose. So it's a very isolated movement. She's coming up onto her toes, and she's literally holding the pose for half a second. And I'm literally capturing it in that movement. At the same time that she's coming up into the pose, my assistant Caitlin is throwing this, and it's a skirt. It's just a skirt that I made out of organza. I'm capturing it. I've got 1B1. So my model is here. I'm here like this. My B1, big extra large umbrella, white with a diffuser, is right here on my shoulder. So I literally have that big umbrella coming in here. Why do
Love the photo. Here's what I would have done with this photo here, right? So instead of centering them in the photo, and see how you got the archway in the background. So what I would have done is, like, I don't know what's on this side of the photo or over here, but I would move them over here so I could see that archway a little bit. And it's like you're almost putting them in like that rule of thirds, right? So then they could lead right into the photo here, but with the architecture that's back here and what's in the background, you want to still be able to see that a little bit, but yet let your eye lead into the photo. So, and I know there's a lot of probably great architecture in Mexico City. I remember when we toured around and took photos and stuff like that, and you take people around, you look at your scene of where you're going to be and how you're going to place it because of the architecture that's there, right? So right now you're blocking this archway here, right? And you want to be able to see that with them, even though you're photographing them, but then you want it to leave it. Because you see some of the photos here with them where you got a bride or bridegroom and they're off at one corner, right? And they got the veil going back, and then you got the scene that's going here, right? And it led them right into the photo, and that's what makes it. Because, like say, right in the center, you got a lot going on here, but you want that texture too as well. And then also you can separate them sometime, have them look at each other, have them hold their hand, and then she's like gazes into it, stuff like that, things like that, and take the veil that you have here, and then spread that veil, right? So you got that veil you want it to flow. So like if you had them over in if you had them over in this part over here, right? And this over here. So see how, just by me doing this, see how it's leading them into there? So now if you would have placed them here, spread that veil out, and then boom, you get across. I love this architecture back here, and it just makes exactly.
The press, for example, the precision,
Right.
it's very tough for me because I don't know how to do it.
Oh, when they're coming in?
So, for example, when they are getting into the car, it's a problem for me because everybody is in front of them, So I think this is pretty bad.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that one.
Then I'm being proud. I am a woman, but I am very strong, so.
That's all right.
No, you have whatever you want to say. It's fine for me, okay? I'm sorry, but
That's all right. No, take your time. We're good. So it's turn. Let's go back. Because I saw a couple I want to.
Yes, at the entrance of the car, the wallpaper, everybody is trying to
So like say you got the stairway.
Yeah.
Are they coming upstairs or something? Or people are out front? Oh, that's okay. You know, and then just I mean, because you.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What we have experienced here today is nothing short of a miracle. Two people joining their lives together in holy matrimony. The miracle is, of course, one of them is no longer a committed bachelor. I can only surmise that by living with Ashley before the wedding, Chris has discovered what many married couples already understand. The marital bliss, which only occurs when you find that one special person you want to annoy for the rest of your life. Now, if there's anyone here who's feeling queasy or uneasy about the thought of what lies ahead, it's probably because you just married Chris Becker. Congratulations, Ashley, you now have 2 kids to raise. And brother, I really have to wonder how seriously you're taking this whole marriage thing. As an avid follower of your Twitter account, I've noticed you haven't tweeted once since the ceremony. Not even a hashtag got her. At this point, I should probably introduce myself. Hello. I'm usually known as Joe Photo, but today I am the best man. Many of you know how Chris insists on being called Becker. You know, like Bono, he says. Or sometimes it's the Becker if he's feeling particularly cocky. So today, in the tradition of my newly married best friend, I'd like you to refer to me either as the best or the man. Honestly, I was having a really difficult time narrowing down the stories to tell about Chris, so I went to my dad for help. He said, son, a best man speech should be like a woman's dress. Short enough to be interesting, but not so long as to be dull and boring. Thanks, Dad. Great advice. I'll keep it to 5 minutes. I went to the internet and found out that, like drinking and driving, experts all agree that you should never drink before delivering a best man speech. But apparently during the speech is okay. Now, one tradition of the best man speech, of course, is to try to embarrass or humiliate the groom, because Becker can do that all by himself. I'm going to break with tradition and go with what I'm calling Plan B. Smart may have the plans, but stupid has the stories. And this is the story of how 2 young wedding photographers became friends to propel one another into the future that we desired. I have to admit, though, when I first met Becker, I didn't really like him. He was cocky, really cocky. By the way, Becker recently gave me permission with this speech to simply tell the truth about him, no matter how flattering. And the truth is, we needed each other. Chris had a younger sister, and I had 2. We needed a brotherhood, a partnership, and a blood pact that would propel us forward in this industry toward the fame and success we desired. We went to our local professional photographers affiliate, and we tried to fit in there. But man, they had their own brotherhood, and it was formal with so many ribbons and medallions. We just didn't fit in there. Then, in 1997, I heard about an organization called WPPI, and I invited Becker to go with me, mostly so that we could split the expenses. He agreed, but thought it was weird I wanted to share a room with him. What we discovered here was an organization that we could really learn from. A group of like-minded professionals who were open to dialoguing with us, expanding our own brotherhood. The education was relevant, and the platform speakers were inspiring. We applied what we learned, and our businesses grew. Soon, we began hosting parties at WPPI and became friends with the platform speakers we most admired, which opened the doors to us becoming speakers and teachers. And that is ultimately how Becker met Ashley. Ladies and gentlemen, life and business are far sweeter with a partner. A friend who you know you can rely on for encouragement when you're feeling down, for perspective when you're afraid. In other words, a best friend who always has your back. I think you'll agree with me that these 2 are going to make a great team. With Becker's motivation, drive, and enthusiasm, and Ashley's ability to lower her standards and laugh at his jokes, there should be no stopping them. Chris and Ashley, I'd like to propose a toast. Would everyone please stand with me? and raise an imaginary glass. May your days ahead be happy ones. May you celebrate your creativity as if you were at Burning Man. May you grow spiritually closer to God and to each other. And may you never stop working hard at making it all work for the two of you. I love you both. God bless. That's the bromance I have with my 20-year relationship here. Thank you all so much.
Hi, everybody. All right, we're gonna try something. Put up your hand if you feel overwhelmed. I do. Now give each other a high five, because we're in this together. We're gonna talk about your business relationships, specifically the one between you and your business. And they're not the same thing. Sometimes I think there's a misconception in this industry that we are our business. And I think it's because we take our work so personally, and we identify with being a photographer and filmmaker. But it's so important to separate the two because your business is a psychopath, all right? It doesn't give a shit about you unless you design it that way. It will take everything you have, your money, your passion, most importantly, your time. It will literally take everything from you if you allow it to. So we're gonna talk about preventing that from happening and how to stop it from continuing. And before we begin, I have an analogy to get us in the right mindset. So come with me on this journey. Airplane safety pamphlets. They instruct the mother to put her oxygen mask on herself before putting it on her child. And at first I thought that was really weird. And I don't have kids or anything, but it seems kind of selfish, right? Like our human nature is to help the child first because, you know, they're our responsibility and dependent. And then I started thinking about it like this. It kind of makes sense. We have to support the foundation or the responsible portion of that relationship first. Like the business is the mother in this scenario, and the child represents your art and passion. Because when the oxygen runs out, you'll both be dead unless you take care of business. So it all started when I went to see a financial planner. I was excited to know how to make my money work for me and what stocks to invest in, and she was like, "Well, Kels, let me show you this pyramid. You're all the way down here. Making return is up here. You gotta start with a financial plan before you can start making investments." And I drew a lot of parallels from that for a creative business. So I made a pyramid of my own. So at the base of the creative business pyramid is the unique product, as you can see. And this needs to be amazing photography. You might already have a great business systems in place, but if you feel like you're not really at the place in your career that you want to be, chances are you've got to start back at the bottom. It's easy to get caught up in the business stuff, and that's very important, as we'll get to that. But sometimes you just got to go back to your skills and be the best artist you can be and offer the best, most special work that you can provide. But I'm willing to bet that everyone in here is a fantastic photographer. Your ambition shows just by being here. And we're passionate about the work we do there, as opposed to setting up business systems. So we're going to focus on the midsection of the pyramid, starting with uncontrollable events. That's things like business insurance, disability insurance, and emergency cash. Extremely important stuff. When I was 21, I had 30 grand of photography gear stolen from my car the day before a destination wedding. I had no insurance. It was terrible. So if you don't have insurance, please get insurance. It's totally worth it, even for peace of mind. So next up, we have controllable priorities. This is where a lot of the action happens. So in this section, you've got outsourcing, studio management softwares, accounting, your brand, and workflows. Outsourcing is extremely important. And as photographers, we're prone to thinking that we have to do everything ourselves for some reason. And I totally get that. But this is an area that you almost can't afford not to consider. And if you're not at that point in the pyramid yet, I totally get it. It can be expensive to outsource your editing and things like that. But there's things you can do by yourself as well, like hand responses, questionnaires, setting up your Lightroom workflow so you're like a freaking ninja at that. There's a thing that we're all familiar with called return on investment. But there's also this thing called return on time investment. The theory behind that is that the workflow takes you 7 hours to set up, but it relieves you 1 hour of work per day after that for the same task. Your ROTI is going to come back to you like just after a week, and that's just going to give you free time that you can invest in things in the growth opportunities area. So growth opportunities, we have the three things that actually are the only things that makes money as photographers. And that's shooting, marketing, and selling. That's why those are up there. Now, education is up there too. And we're all here to get inspired, and it's fantastic that we're all here. Even if you're not at that point in the pyramid yet. Because education is imperative throughout your journey. I'm just saying that you won't be able to take advantage of everything you learn this week if you're drowning underneath. You're going to go home with your notebook full of ideas and your heart full of dreams, and that's what makes this conference so freaking great. And you might even implement one or two things, but procrastination will be your problem. Because the top here's the child. She's running out of oxygen. You guys, this stuff does not come easy to me. I was voted most likely to be late my own wedding in high school and most organized. So if I can do it, you can do it. It all begins with your passion and ends with your art, because that's when you can fully realize your fullest potential as an artist and business person. And that's living the life of your own design and own your business instead of the other way around. Thanks.
There we go. Wonderful. I'm Tony Jackson, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about things you can do, kind of high-level things that can add a lot to your business. But first, I want to say thank you so much to Kevin and everyone that's put this on, because I love it. This is my favorite thing. Yeah. Quick clapping, please. So this sounds like a pretty sketchy infomercial topic, how to double your sales and make all your wildest dreams come true. You've watched Napoleon Dynamite, Pedro. This was his platform. And I'm kind of here to talk a little bit about, I guess, how to implement video and how to make video work for you. The alternate option is to have Jerry Jones get so cheap, and then your sales will instantly double. I tried this in 2008, and sales skyrocketed. But honestly, the one thing Jerry does amazingly well is that he tells his story on video and gets people connected. So that's what I started doing. I started just bringing cameras with me, showing behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. I started telling you stories that maybe I wouldn't have told prior to picking up, I guess, a digital SLR. And you get a lot of amazing feedback. This Taylor Jackson supporter writes, "You are the biggest degenerate on YouTube. Can't help because you are sick. Wish me your address. I would pay you. Visit this happening too." My home address is actually on Google, so he could have found me. This is one of the first behind-the-scenes videos we did. We were at a destination wedding. My girlfriend came with me and was like, "Hey, can you just shoot some behind-the-scenes stuff?" And that alone has booked me probably another 10 or 15 destination weddings because people can really get connected to the story. The problem is that being a great photographer isn't enough anymore. You have to be absolutely everything. 10 years ago, a $10,000 wedding coverage package, amazing photography. Now people expect that for $2,000. It's insane. So you have to do everything. I recommend starting with Instagram and just kind of building your social platform there. And when your clients see that you have followers and you have activity and people like what you're doing, they're a little more relaxed and like, okay, this person exists, he has a little bit of a history, he's a real person. Another thing we did was this documentary about startups in our local area, where we were all over local media, and this was a free project that we did, and it just blew up, and so many people found out about us. So do a passion project like that. Another thing we did was this, I guess, bridal planning workshop, where we just kind of got all of our favorite wedding vendor friends in a room, and opened it up for brides. It's like, hey, come and spend 2 hours with us. We'll talk about how to plan the absolute perfect wedding. And it worked out amazingly well. 100 people showed up. It's crazy. This is the stupidest thing I've ever done, where we flew down to rented a Porsche for some reason, and did a documentary about tacos. It's called the Taco-mentary. I think that it was the most important thing I've ever done, because it kind of taught me that no matter how stupid your idea, if you do it well and passionately, that people are excited about it. One of the things that, I would say the first thing that my grooms always talk about whenever they meet me on the wedding day or see me on the wedding day, it's like, "So how's that taco documentary going?" Like, what? Ridiculous. And then after that, we had to kind of step it up a little bit. So we did this travel show, and we found the swimming pigs at Exuma. If you haven't been, go, because they're insane. They swim out to the boat. But this story, and by taking pictures on this episode, has got so many brides connected to me. And like, who doesn't love this? Like, put this up in your blog, people are going to be so interested. Like, where should we go on our honeymoon? Like, please tell us, inform us, how do we get to these guys? Like, ridiculous. So I guess one other thing that I kind of have to talk about is that if you love them or hate them, the Kardashians can make everyone around them kind of famous. So instead of just, if you're doing a style shoot, instead of just selecting vendors to fill roles and fill space, pick up people that know how to kind of amplify your signal and support you. This is my dog Richard, my favorite pineapple closure, and it's been interesting because we started posting pictures of him and his social presence just took off, and everybody loves Richard. And it's so much easier to make somebody else famous. This is him being a bit of an asshole and sitting on me because I'm in his seat in the car. He weighs like 87 pounds, so this isn't a comfortable situation, but it is much easier to make him kind of, I guess, the subject of my life. All right, one last thing, one last tip is involve brands whenever you can. We shot this in Saint Martin. I give this photo like a 6 out of 10, but Air Canada Rouge absolutely loved it and plastered it everywhere, and that got me so many more inquiries because everyone's like, oh, who's this guy that shot this amazing photo? And this is my other favorite shirt today. I'm wearing my donut shirt, and this is my popsicle shirt. So I think it's important to have funny goals and to have serious goals. And speaking of WPPI and a donut shirt made it a lot easier to actually speak at WPPI. This is Nicolas Cage, and I am Joe Jackson, and thank you so much.
Because drone is becoming a big part of the industry today. And commercial imaging for the photographer is going to become so much better this summer because of licensing. Creating photographs from drones is a new level, it's a new height. And it's fun to do, it's exciting to do. This graph simply shows commercial drone operations around the world, what's been improved. What's coming to America this summer is a few things. We'll go over that just a little bit. This image reminds me of what we can do. We can create amazing photographs, get at different angles that we've never been able to before, to create photographs. It's fun to do. It's exciting, and there's a brand new market coming up. Every day there's lots of information about drones. Some are bad, some are good. There's a lot of good information going. Look at this. Disney seeks FAA permission to fly drones on their own property, who they asked the FAA to create a no-fly zone for. But this is the proposed FAA rulemaking that will be passed this summer finally. And it's got important information. It's all about safety. Less than 55 pounds, visual line of sight. What we will have to do is pass an aeronautical test. And that aeronautical test will be passed every 2 years to maintain a license, a commercial license, so we can make money doing this. Currently, to have a license, you have to be a licensed pilot and have something called a pre-3 exemption. So about $25,000 later, you too can become a commercial pilot license. This summer, that's going to be down to about $150. But what you do need to do today, even if you have a drone, is register it with the FAA and get a tag number, or a tail number as they call it. This happens to be my tail number. It goes on all of my drones. It's registered with the FAA. And every time you fly, there's a record of exactly the GPS where you flew, how high you flew, the exact path that you flew, and how long you flew. You can click on the picture, and it shows you a map of where you actually flew that. This is accessible. The FAA has access to that information. If you were to fly into a no-fly zone and there was a problem, then, or you could prove that where you were, or they could prove that where you were. This is something you can download from the FAA website. It's actually a link from them, but it just shows the simple rules that you can fly today without a license. There's something called geofencing, which is not new. Geofencing is on all of our iDevices. So anywhere you go in the world is advertising. That's what geofencing is about. But when it comes to droning, geofencing has to do with where you can fly and where you can't fly. This is Disney World, and that red circle is an area where you just simply can't fly a zone, or your drone. It's completely around airports and that sort of thing. Safety is the big thing, going over the different challenges that we have when we're flying drones. The big one in this particular list to me is having a spotter. If you have two controllers where you can control the camera, somebody else can fly, that's one thing. Having a spotter is important. This image reminds me of when the DeKalb County Police Department called me and said, Mr. Tapp, would you like to come pick up your drone? That's a different story. I'll just But, you know, we have the control. We have the ability to create HDRs and panoramas and control just like we do on our cameras. So to get up in the air and have a new angle to shoot our images from is easy to do. It truly is easy to do. What's difficult about flying a drone is turning around where left becomes right and right becomes left. But when it comes to finding that new angle and an exciting angle that's easy and safe to do, I've been flying out of helicopters for years, but look, this news just in. If you have a drone that's under 4.4 pounds, such as the DJI here, you do not have to currently pass a 333 examination. That may not mean anything to you, but it's a big deal. And listen, I am a dronographer and a photographer, and I love to do dronography. So thank you for having me here, Kevin.
Character in your stories. Have you ever heard the phrase, when they cry, they lie? It's about emotion. Have you ever gotten misty-eyed watching a TV commercial or that iPhone ad? Well, what happens when you press mute? That feeling goes away, it turns back in your computer. How do Hollywood's top filmmakers use music? I'll tell you how. In a world where they make $100 million movies and they only have 90 seconds to make their point, or 15 seconds with Ignite, that's pressure. How do they do it? How do they do it? Well, I'll tell you how. They pack tons of emotional impact into a very short space using every tool they have. I mean, graphics, visual effects, speed. Allie, hit me 1 time for photos, 2 times for video, and 3 times for music. Because my friends, storytelling is like bacon. All your ingredients need to tell the same story in harmony. If you're just throwing together a bunch of photos, video clips, and music without a plan, your results are going to be unexpected. I mean, I like chocolate, I love garlic. I'm not going to mix those things together. So here's your chance to get it right. This stock photography baby needs you to get it right. We call this the 3 words approach. Along with the description of your story, I want you to write down, every time you do a slideshow or a video, 3 words that describe the mood, the vibe, and the emotion that you want your viewers to feel, right? 3 words. And focus is going to make you successful because once you know what your story should feel like, it's so much easier to figure out what your story should sound like. You can use the 3 keywords to match them up. We have a few examples, Allie, who will help me out here, of the 3 words approach. Here's the first one. Right? I'm feeling sunshine, Hello Kitty, maybe unicorns. It matches. The 3 keywords will keep you focused. But what happens when the music changes? It's a disconnect, right? It doesn't match. Using this approach is going to keep you focused so your story matches. What if we did something a little more this? Can you help me out with this? Whatever this is. Longhorns? Let's try this next one. Right? Modern, edgy, aggressive, I'm feeling that. What if you go back to that Hello Kitty thing? Do the Hello Kitty thing. Does it match? Yes or no? Yeah. Right? Write down these 3 keywords every time you create a story and you will stay focused. We're WPPI, so maybe something a little more romantic. What do you got for us? Right. Do you feel it? Does it match? It does, right? This approach is so easy, and all your ingredients can match to make the stories. Now, when I was thinking of Ignite, I thought, what are the 3 words that make me feel like the Ignite story? So I took my pen to paper, thought about the 3 words. Here's what I came up with, Allie. Ladies and gentlemen, my 3 words for Ignite. All right, you feel it? Here's what I want you to do. Every time you create a story, write down the 3 words. Match everything to that story, right? When your ingredients match, your stories will be more powerful. They'll have more impact, right? You're on your way to becoming a master storyteller. Now, how to handle that weather. Now, if you're still not sure of music's power to inspire your clients, to grow your sales, to supercharge your marketing on social media, if you're still not sure, well then just press mute. Thank you very much.
Bueno, pues este es un nuevo pasaje que da del strip, de la avenida principal de Las Vegas, aquí a donde está esta montaña rusa, que en teoría es más grande que la que hay en Londres. Supongo que la pusieron hace poco porque hace 2 años no existía. A ver, bueno, pues ya pregunté y el boletito para subirse aquí es una vuelta que dura aproximadamente 30 minutos. Cuesta $37. O bien después de las 5 de la tarde sube un poquito y creo que hay una sección donde le dan uno 3 bebidas y vale $47. Nada más para que se den una idea de la subida de la rueda de la fortuna. Se ve padre, pero pues sí, o sea, pagar casi 700 pesos para una vuelta de media hora, pues ahorita como que no. Bueno, más quería comentarlo. ¿Ya?